In our first visit to the renewed mining operations in the Box Creek drainage on the flanks of Colorado's highest mountain, we explored the history behind the dairy mining camp and the dairy dredge. Mining operations had stopped over the winter, but have started up again, so what better excuse to take another peek and see what's happening. The dairy dredge is long gone, but the remains of the mining camp linger on, and the tailings left behind by the dredge remain and are the focus of today's mining activity. On lands leased by the Colorado State Land Board, which has been funding Colorado schools since 1876, the business of gold mining continues in its latest incarnation, known as the Box Creek Placer Mine. The land sits south of the historic town of Leadville and just north of Twin Lakes, near the headwaters of the Arkansas River, at an elevation of around 9,000 feet. The current operator appears to be doing a good job of reclaiming the land after processing the old tailings to recover the gold left behind by the less efficient dredge technology of 100 years ago. While placer mining in concept is fairly simple, the actual work still requires heavy machinery able to process prodigious amounts of rock and earth. Gone is the long cutting arm of the dredge, replaced today by massive excavators and modern wash plants capable of achieving gold recovery rates of as high as 97%. Wash plant remains the heart of gold mining and relies on the same concepts used long ago. Earth is scooped up and dumped into a hopper where jets of water wash the material down, with the goal of breaking apart any clays and mud that could retain placer gold and prevent it from being recovered later in the process. From the hopper, the material enters a rotating drum called a trommel, constructed of screen material, small holes first allowing the smaller and finer gold-bearing gravel and dirt to fall through to a sluice, while the bigger rocks, ideally now clean and free of gold-bearing material, move through the drum where they are discharged out the end of the trommel. The gold-bearing material that has fallen through the trommel drops into a sluice box or sluice table. As water carries gold-laden sediment through the sluice, small obstructions called riffles block the free flow of material. These tiny flow restrictions form low-pressure pockets where the actual gold collects. Since gold is relatively heavy, it settles into these pockets, while lighter material continues to flow out of the sluice. The remaining concentrate from the sluice is then processed to remove the gold from the remaining sand. As with the dredge, which relied on a constantly moving lake to move it upstream, the modern wash plant is mobile and can be moved to new gold-bearing material as needed. discarded and left as tailings. Today's mine operators in most parts of the world are now expected, if not required, to reclaim the land after mining and return it to as close to its natural state as possible. Thanks to the activity at the Box Creek Placer mine, folks today can see what modern gold mining looks like while catching a faint glimpse into what it must have been like when the old dairy dredge roared into life October 10, 1915.